Wow. Well, good morning, Humberto.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. This is an amazing event. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and we have some really good questions here this morning. So first of all, three things about our guest. As Keegan mentioned before, you are the directors from OMS for the Americas and Luxe at Airbnb. Your career highlights: co-founder, CEO of Naya Homes, leadership roles at Cloud Kitchen and Uber. You share perspective, and that's super interesting, you share perspective as a former PMC and marketplace operator. And a fun fact, not sure if it's a lol fun fact, but a fun fact, Naya Homes was using Guesty software, and you can highlight why they were using it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a fun fact. Essentially, yeah, so as you mentioned, I was at Uber, Cloud Kitchen, so I come from the world of marketplaces. Started or co-founded and ran Naya Homes, which is a property management company here in Mexico, operating primarily out of Vallarta. So I have the experience. I've been on the other side of the table. I've sat where you all sit, and I understand the business. I understand what it was like to get the first client to sign on and eventually run many hundreds of properties. So I really understand the challenges that as property managers you all go through every day. And I joined Airbnb because I thought it would be a great place to have impact on kind of millions of guests and millions of properties and hundreds of thousands of property managers, because I'm really passionate about how this sector of hospitality is changing the world. And yes, Guesty was the product we chose. We started with another property management software when we knew very little. But eventually we changed to Guesty because it is a preferred plus partner with Airbnb, so the connectivity there was amazing. The feature rollout, the kind of tech-first mentality, we loved it. The revenue tools, there was a lot of reasons, and we made the change, and we were very happy when we made the change. And I'm very happy to see that Naya is still using it, and that now Casago uses it more broadly. So it's exciting, and I love the product.
Good. We also have a very good socks.
You have socks?
Yeah,
really?
so our socks are also very good.
Can I have some?
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
We heard for some that these are lucky socks.
Yeah, I need some luck.
So more socks
excellent.
to come. So thank you. And can you kind of, how did you end up in Airbnb?
Yeah, so as we were kind of closing out the sales process of Naya Homes, started talking to people at Airbnb, connected with Brian through one of our investors, and basically Airbnb is at a very interesting moment in its evolution, right? We've been going for 17 years. As we're looking forward, we see tremendous opportunity for growth as the sector continues to expand, continues to penetrate, and so I wanted to be a part of that, you know. Kind of as I think about it, one of the things that I thought a lot about when we started Naya Homes and that I think about at Airbnb is that we are kind of on the right side of the generational line in terms of hospitality, right? And what do I mean by that? Like, all the young people, they're growing up with Airbnb. They're growing up with alternative accommodations, with vacation rentals, with short-term rentals. And so as I look at the future, this is the area we have to be building in, you know?
Yeah. No, thank you. Now, obviously being kind of, as you mentioned, being in the audience shoes, that's quite exciting and so important to have a leader that joins Airbnb who founded a property management company. So since your day managing a large PMC, how do you see the industry changes? What changed? What do you see as the new opportunities and challenges for the professional host?
Yeah, look, I think first off, I was still kind of managing properties 3 months ago, 4 months ago, so saying fresh. Since then it's very fresh, right? But I think that a lot of what Amiad mentioned is very important, right? We were all feeling the change. We're coming off of a very high peak around 2021 post-COVID, so we still compare ourselves to that, and there's a lot of a change that's gone on there, but I think we have to understand that we're in a cyclical business and that evolving and changing is going to be critical, right? So definitely continuing the technology adoption, continuing to leverage AI on every side of the property management business, right? Everything from listing optimization to listing preparation to customer support to how you interact with your owners. There are some million opportunities on the technology side, and I think that you guys are at the forefront of a lot of those tools for hosts, and that's very exciting. From Airbnb's perspective, I see quite a few great opportunities and also some challenges that we're all facing together, right? Because the way I see it, kind of the opportunities and challenges for Airbnb are very aligned with the opportunities and challenges for all of our hosts, right? When we win, we all win together. And so in terms of opportunities that I'm seeing, right, we just kind of signed a fantastic partnership with FIFA, right, that involves the World Cup. The World Cup is going to touch everybody in this room, right? Obviously, if we talk about Mexico, definitely Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, all of the cities in the United States, all of the cities in Canada where games are actually going to be played. But as I look at vacation markets, I think, okay, if I'm going to Guadalajara to watch one of the football matches, maybe I go to Cabo or Vallarta after that, or I go to Cancun, right? So we're going to see a halo effect there. And I think that thinking about how you build supply for events like the World Cup, how you differentiate that supply, how you highlight those units that you bring onto the platform, that's extremely important, right? But of course, it's not just the big events like FIFA, right? That one we all know, but we see this across the board, right? Events are key. For example, in Puerto Rico, when we had the Bad Bunny residence, all units were full, right? Taylor Swift, and all kinds of other events that really power our business, and we have to be prepared for. So as professional hosts, I always think, okay, what are the events on the horizon, and how do you really kind of approach them, and how you can take advantage of them, right? I also think there's a lot of opportunities, and we'll talk about this a little later, but a lot of opportunities kind of on how we're seeing market growth, how we're seeing new opportunities, new segments that'll be exciting, and that at the end will generate more demand for all of the hosts that are on Airbnb, right?
Very nice.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I wanted to say that Mexico City now is fully booked because of Guestival.
There you go, Guestival impacting
FIFA.
occupation. Definitely, I think that all of the hosts, and there's fantastic hosts in Mexico City, are benefiting from this event as well. Now, in terms of the challenges that you asked, I think this one's important, right? Because it impacts all of us in most markets around the world, and that's the regulatory challenges, right? We're living in a world where housing is a massive issue, right? Yesterday, I was talking to the head of one of the host associations here in Mexico, and he was telling me, last year, Mexico City needed 70,000 new houses, but they built 1,500. Most of those weren't built for low-income housing, which is what the city needs the most, right? So you have a massive problem on housing, and yet it's very easy for politicians to point to vacation rental and short-term rentals as the problem, right? And so I think that we, in that sense, have your back, right? We are very focused on deregulation in regulated markets. Think about New York City, Los Angeles, we have big efforts there, kind of taking a strong stance against regulations in markets where regulations are coming, everything from Clark County in the United States, Denver, Washington, Arizona, here in Mexico, where we've kind of held off enforcement for over a year, because we see that it's important for our hosts, it's important for our business, but also it's important for the cities that we're in, right? So kind of in the United States, Airbnb alone generated $90 billion of economic activity last year, right? Over $24 billion in tax revenue was generated by guests, right? That is a massive impact, but every time there's a reservation in one of your properties, right, that means restaurant revenue, it means cleaning revenue, it means kind of a lot of blue-collar people are impacted by what all of us do in this room. And so I think that conversation with cities ends up being incredibly important, because when a major city passes a regulation, they don't really understand that they lose over $2 billion in revenue, right? And $1.6 billion of that is not even kind of nightly rates, it's the impact on cities that a reservation has. So I think in that sense, the message I would deliver is that we have your back, we're there with you fighting the fight, and we all have to unite in this. regardless of whether you're a massive, kind of 1,000-unit host or whether you're managing 2 or 3 properties, this is in all our best interest to ensure that we have fair and regulations that allow kind of the cities to succeed and our business to succeed as well.
Thank you. Now, as Airbnb expands beyond its core markets, what does this growth mean for hosts? Okay, so both in new regions and in places like the US, where there's still a huge room to grow.
Absolutely. Look, I think that, and here, as kind of a professional host voice within Airbnb, I see our growth and your growth together, right? I think about our success being a shared success. So when I look at a market like the United States, right, where definitely it's Airbnb's largest market, there are so many opportunities there. There are so many untouched segments. For example, the US Hispanics are a massive segment that we're starting to target very heavily right now. The Heartland states, there's a lot of growth in Heartland states, both on the guest side and on the ability to bring in new supply. So that's very exciting for us. We're doing a lot of marketing in that sense to drive demand and continue growth. And then also we have a very large initiative to impact non-core markets, right? So aside from our top 5 markets, really looking at markets like Brazil, looking at markets like Mexico, looking at markets like Puerto Rico, like a lot of markets that are important to us, that where we want to continue to grow. And there's a lot of exciting trends on that side of the business. So we're excited to push for growth. We're excited to partner with all of you to ensure that that growth is healthy and sustainable, and you're benefiting from it as well as us.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned before the events, so maybe kind of a bit more on that. You mentioned events as an opportunity for hosts. Events brings fans together. So how can hosts, or what are your tips for hosts, to capitalize on these opportunities to drive booking and optimize the guest experience?
Yeah, look, I think events are important because, as I mentioned before, obviously they drive a lot of demand. Right, which means that for all of you, it's a great opportunity to build supply, a great opportunity to differentiate that supply, to give a fantastic experience to guests that are coming. And so that will be a monetization opportunity for all of you. But for all of us together as well, it means that we can approach regulators in a different way, right? Talking about regulations as well, when you have an event like the World Cup coming to Mexico City, the reality is Mexico City doesn't have enough hotel rooms to sustain the number of fans that are going to be showing up. So they need us. They need our joint supply there. They need those beds to be able to house everybody that's going to come so that the city can benefit from it. So it gives us an opportunity to definitely create a stronger bond with regulators. And it also gives us an opportunity to strengthen our brand and drive more demand for you, right? So we are kind of the partnership with the World Cup puts us front and center for all of the guests that are going to be in the city during that time, and that means that we're going to be funneling a lot of demand to all of our hosts in each of the cities and in the Halo cities as well.
Thank you. Now, quality and innovation. So how is Airbnb focusing on the quality and innovation, and what role does faster product development and new feature like AI play in driving this growth?
Yeah, look, I'll start with the quality side, right? And I think about quality in 2 different ways. And quality was something that I spent a lot of time thinking about when I was a property manager. I feel all of you, right? I've had to change bed sheets 30 minutes before a guest showed up because the cleaning lady wasn't there, right? So I know how that feels, but the reality is that quality is what keeps our business alive. It's what keeps guests coming back, right? If a guest arrives and the check-in is seamless, they find the bed well made, the linen's in good shape, they don't find hairs in the bathroom, the communication with all of the hosts is good, this is kind of fundamental to creating the trust we need for our business to continue to grow, right? That is truly how we drive growth from the hotel sector and from new segments like the US Hispanics that I mentioned before and the Heartland states, right? So that is something that we all have to work very hard together. And in terms of product around that, obviously, like we've approached this kind of from a demand side, right? Like guest favorites, as you all know. These are properties that have above 5 reviews, 5-star reviews, or 4.9 and above, great reviews across all of the table stakes items like cleanliness, host communications, check-in, accuracy, all of those important factors that really drive that. And so with guest favorites, we see that guests find the units more easily. They book those units more than they do non-guest favorite units. And so we should all be aspiring to get to that place of the guest favorite, right? That's on the demand side. On the supply side, that's where we love working with you, for example, right? The quality dashboard on Guesty is a great way for all of you to be able to understand where you need to be focusing on to improve quality, right? So we want to give you that visibility so that you can say, okay, this is the area I have to improve, and you can talk to your teams and get down into the nitty-gritty of quality to get it right. And so that's a little bit kind of on the quality and the product side. In terms of the way we think about innovation and where we think about product rollouts, we have two very big kind of product rollout dates, twice in the year, in May and then towards the end of the year, where we roll out large initiatives. But now we're also iterating much more quickly throughout the year, right? So rolling out more products, testing more products, and really going back to that startup mentality of just rolling out a lot of products that are going to help you improve on everything from revenue to quality and everything. And in terms of AI, look, I think inside our business, it's fundamental from everything from how we can give you better customer support, how we can optimize listings more, how we can help you make more money. But also, I would say that this is something that all of you have to be paying a lot of attention to, because this can fundamentally change your business. It can lower your operating costs. It can make you move much faster. It can help you acquire more properties, more customers. So it is something that we're looking at it internally on every single vertical of our business. And I believe that all of you should be looking at it as well.
Thank you. And last question. Looking ahead, what excites you the most about your role at Airbnb?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I think we're on the right side of the generational line. I think we are really just starting to build this sector. I know it feels like a lot of us have been at it for many, many years. A lot of you have been at this for more than 25 years. So it may not seem like it, but I actually do believe that we are only at the beginning of this. And I think that we have a lot of road to grow into over the next 20, 30, 50 years, right? So it's very exciting to be in an industry that has so much promise over so long. I'm very excited about the impact I can have as a voice of a professional host inside of Airbnb in terms of how we develop tools for you to succeed better, how your voice can be heard within the company, because again, I was on the other side. I've experienced what it is to be an Airbnb host, so I understand that side of it, and I want to improve the experience for all of you. That excites me a lot, right? So I think that it's the right place, the right time to have a lot of impact and really be able to help all of you grow as well.
Thank you. Look, first of all, thank you very much. We're honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
And the fact that you've been there only 3 months ago or 4 months ago, it really, that empathy toward our industry is super important. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Yoav, and I was
Thank you.
Very appreciative to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
And right on time. Thank you very much.